I can see that being the potential. We may see some pocket picks from Rafa and the boys of Epsilon actually come out now. They'll probably play something a little bit different this time around. However, Paradigm have clearly prepped. That's the one thing I really want to point out. They had compositions that we'd not seen. The Kobraken came out of nowhere. We've not really seen that this weekend. We've seen it in the Pro League for them.
Yes.
But with a Guan Yu Sol lane, we'd not heard of that really before. We'd not seen any Guan Yu for the tournament for the most part, apart from obviously Cog.
Exactly, and also just to bring it back to the point that we made during the game itself was the Paradigm communications were just so, as we said, they're very, Paradigm is a team that runs on adrenaline, and I think that's very important for this squad, but it was also very exciting to see just how locked in they were. I haven't heard Paradigm comms that clean ever, and I've known these guys since launch tournament, never heard something that clean, and to see that level of focus, I think really shows exactly how important Paradigm realized this series
Well, picks and bans, so bans were the same, but this time around Epsilon got to take away the Sol and go, okay, Paradigm, what else you got? They feel like the Sol made a big impact for them that game. We'll see where Epsilon put it. Will it be mid? Will it be in the Hunter role? We'll find out. I'm pretty certain that all of them could actually play that, though, so we'll find out exactly how that's going to play. On Neef taken away by Paradigm again, though, they don't want that going over for the comp, and they're taking away Adapting's Thor.
Yeah, the Thor out of Adapting, honestly, was not... It wasn't bad. It was honestly Paradigm playing very well around the Thor. But anytime you get to take that away is definitely not a bad look.
Now, we saw Medusa get run in the mid lane previously as well, so this couldn't be a surprise to see that one. It's a flex option based on where Neath is going to go. I want to say here, if we see Lobster going for the Neath, we'll see the Medusa potentially run the mid lane here. Amelzi, you had that against you, correct?
Yeah, Medusa mid is... It's weird, because it's strong against certain guards, and I feel like it fits Epsilon's playstyle to have one more in-hand character.
Yep.
That's really great for them, and great counter, because now Paradigm knows, oh, yeah, well, you're gonna pick Medusa mid. Probably. We're gonna pick Kobraken. This can go either way. This can be Kobraken solo for jungle. This could also be for support and Kobraken jungle.
Exactly. Trix has done that before in the support role, the Thor pick. Not too much of the Kobraken. We see Kobraken jungle. We've seen Kobraken solo. Kobraken against Bellona. Pretty good matchup for Kobraken. A lot of the pros have been talking about that, especially the solo lanes for the most part. Yep. Circuit taken away. We're seeing a little bit of the old school coming out here where we're saying, okay, right, we're going back to a bit more EU meta with Circuit banned out and the Freya shot at Fun Baller as well. Not a surprise to see.
Taking a look at Adapting. I mean, you pick the Thor, you ban the Circuit. That's really, you know, you're looking at Adapting here. Paradigm still realize, they realize 100% that the Thor play out of Adapting was strong last game. They just played better around it. So better not give him any, still giving him the respect that he deserves.
Adapting so far this season has played Fenrir, Thanatos, Circuit, Nijar, and Thor. So when you look at the ones that are banned out, Circuit, and Thor's been taken away, I could potentially see, well, especially with the Zhong pick being locked in, I could potentially see a Nijar coming out here.
Yeah, I think Nasha is a really good pick here. You can lock one off the team fight, and that's kind of what Epsilon needs to win the fight.
Right.
If you get the ult on the Zhong Kui, Zhong is not going to do a lot. Actually, do you guys know if Zhong's ult affects Nasha in her ult? I don't think it does.
I don't believe it does. So it takes that ult completely out of the fight. And we saw that put to good use by Dare to Care from Eager as well. Yep. He was landing some big ultimates there. So we'll see how this one works out from. I expect to see a Naja from Epsilon here. They've probably thought about this one. It could be below the jungle too, just to throw you for a loop. I know the boys of Epsilon, all of them will play everything.
We're looking at Lobster right here. He's going to be the one playing the Zhong Kui most likely. Geb, no surprise there. Very safe. And the Hunt Bats. Okay. All right, so this works similar to the Naja. Naja literally gets to take Zhong Kui out of the fight, but Hunt Bats will just disrupt the fight that Paradigm decides to put. And honestly, that's where a lot of Paradigm's wins came from last time around, was the ability to position well, and they had the Guan Yu to really provide a lot of sustain. This time they'll be bringing the Bacchus, so Paradigm lining up here for a sort of organized team fight. And what does Hunt Bats do? He completely disorganizes everything. He comes into your room and throws everything on the ground. So that's what Hunbats is looking for with this composition. I think it's going to work out well for Epsilon.
I do like Paradigm's composition, though. The way they did picks and bans here was very strong. They gave the flex pick of Neath through first, and everyone, because Lobster played it last time, we could clearly see Epsilon thought that was going to be Neath mid. That's why they banned the Freya. If you remember the last counter banning phase, it was Bacchus that was banned out by Epsilon there. Worked out well.
Look at the face. You can see the faces right there on Youngbei and Raffer. I don't want to say concern, but just very focused and, oh, okay. The Neath I see what they did. And just really, you could see the gears in their head really turning and trying to figure out the game plan for this game number 2. Paradigm, on the other hand, all you see is just we're ready to go. They're like horses at the gate, ready to be launched out. A lot of thinking still on the side of Epsilon, I feel.
Yeah, I think this one could actually go either way as well with picks and bans. How do you feel? Who do you feel won picks and bans there, MLZ? Because it's always it's
rough, right?
It's a game like you can win picks and bans.
Yeah,
so.
you if you have the way better draft, you're gonna win the game of picks and bans. But this time around, I think what Epsilon did right was they first picked Janus. They didn't pick Janus at all. Janus wasn't even banned this game, I believe.
Well, Janus, that game, I think one of the issues Epsilon had that game was they were fighting with Yarman, who had no damage.
Yeah.
He went for boots, and he went for Breastplate of Valor. And then they fought. His Book of Top wasn't online, but Yarman going to be in the mid lane here, Melito on the Sol.
I really like the Medusa mid, especially when paired with the Soul, because we've spoken a lot about Soul's sort of backwards bell curve, where Soul sits there and plays Soul sits there and plays the early and the late game, but has a divot in the mid game. That's exactly what Medusa covers.
That's a Bacchus solo.
I know.
Bacchus solo.
I know.
They're going to pull it out.
Yep.
So these guys have spoken about it a little bit. They like running this Bacchus in the solo lane. And up against the Bologna. Now, this matchup, for the most part, I'd say an interesting one is the best way I can describe it. Interesting. So Bacchus is going to give up a lot in the early game. He's going to have to play very safe. He's naturally tanky, but he's got a power pot, so his wave play is going to be improved a little bit more, MLZ.
To me, Salia is going to lose a couple first waves.
Yep.
When he gets that level 6, 7 with the power pot, he's going to start winning. He's going to start putting pressure onto Demi. And what is really smart right here is they recognize that, oh well, they have a Medusa mid, let's put the Cabrakan jungle to counter that out.
Exactly. So the Cabrakan jungle, the way that's going to counter that out is Dusa, obviously, the ultimate, going to be a lot of problems. But let's come back to this Bacchus solo.
Well, there's actually a lot of things to talk about, not just the Bacchus solo, because we'll see how this works out. They're not being invaded, first of all, which is a good start for them. That's an important thing for them, not to get invaded with this double Guardian, jungle, and solo lane. But the duo lane is the big key here. Trix Tank and Neef, both both physicals. So if this lane gets focused a lot, they're going to have no physical damage in the late game. However, Trix Tank on the Thor can put a lot of pressure on Emelito's Sol here. One wall, one double tap early on could put the pressure on this mage, and you can see the difference in how this lane's going. Neef has the push power to hold off against the Sol, and it's going to be one of those crazy lanes.
Yeah, what you're gonna see is Trix Tank. He's gonna hit level 3 now. What they're gonna look for is a really good wall to push off Raver, or like wall him off, and then they're gonna look for the kill.
Well, it'll be a wall on Emelito followed by a root potentially for the setup, and then they'll be looking for the double tap just for the damage. But a lot of poke onto the boy Trix there.
But they have the minions.
A little bit of
they can get the wall.
They're looking for Gav. They don't find it.
Aggression.
Oh, they're still going in though.
The backflip for the aggression coming out. Funball might actually pay for that, believe it or not. But the first kill goes to Trix Tank with his Zerker Barrage. Raffer forced to roll out, but he does take one with him. Trix Tank gonna fall as well. So the first blood goes to Paradigm, but Epsilon answers very quickly.
Very quickly indeed. Funballer though, I was going to say if he did notice adapting first of all there. We need to watch that weave on the ground. There's a weave on the ground, Rafa. There was a weave on the ground. And now you are too.
Funball with the quick pop. The weave on the ground.
I saw it. I was like, he was playing his day.
Yep.
It's one of those things you don't think about. He got picked because of it. And now, aggression from Paradigm again. They're in a very, very good spot here.
Simple misplay, honestly, coming out from Raffer. A rare misplay, which is why I highlight it. Raffer is really, we don't normally see stuff like that.
It was either he didn't realize there was a weave there, A, which I obviously said that 10 times.
Exactly.
Or the other option was that he thought either Spirit Arrow was down or he wasn't going to take that much damage.
I honestly think it was more the former. I think he just didn't realize that there was a weave on the ground left there. Of course, that weave was from the offensive backflip that Funball did earlier on. So.
And it worked out well for the boys of Paradigm, now up 2-1, and Funballer getting one of those kills. Thor also getting one as well. Really helps that duo lane, which I talked about. It's both physical. But look at this, Cuvo coming around to put pressure onto Dimmy.
Dimmy sees him. He forced out.
This feels more like help for the Bacchus in the early stages here in Millsy, just until he gets a few items online.
Yeah, definitely. If that could have been a kill if Dimmy played really aggressive, because they have so much damage with the power pots and Bacchus ultimate. But Dimmy just backs off. There's nothing really to be taken there.
I mean, there's a good combo with that too. There's the Bacchus flop into the stun, into the tremors. You jump away. Well, we can still belch on you too, and then intoxicate as well.
Imagine how drunk people would be. Just the Bacchus ultimate,
That's
and
a good
then
point.
into Kuro's Tremors, they would just be running around so dizzy. They would like, what am I doing?
Those two together with a Jubilanke would be really interesting
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
The stuns for days.
Let's take a look at the Bacchus real quick before he backs. I'm pretty sure what the idea here is. We did get a glimpse of it.
To see what he's maxing, really.
He's going to be leveling the jump, the belly flop, most likely.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah, essentially what this is, it's about the burst combo. Now, I think a lot of fans at home, seeing this, being new to this idea, would sort of opt to maximize the burp ability. But really, it's about the belly flop. You push the minions back with the burp, and they group up, and you can hit the whole wave with the belly flop. And sooner, rather than later, sooner than you might anticipate, you're able to completely take out the archers and leave the front line with just a couple of basics.
It's also like the way the minions position, if you flop perfectly, you can hit the whole minion wave anyway. You don't have to group them first. You can actually hit the whole minion wave if you exactly center between the two. Harpies though, Epsilon, looking at the left one's here, Tricks looking for the double tap. He may get aggressed on though if he doesn't feel like it will. Weaver coming actually out. They're looking for a potential pressure onto Rafa here, who ate a lot of poke there. And the rotation coming in from the boys. No, Paradigm choose not to go. I think if Cabrakan had the blink there, we would have seen him go all in.
Also, if Trickstank would have had an angle on the wall, he would have walled him off, so the only escape path would have been running the other way.
Towards him.
Yeah, towards him. That would have been a kill as well. If you would have waited for the stun, just wait a bit longer, try and see if you can get Revo's rollout.
This is really working out well for Paradigm though. They've come in with different compositions both games so far, and they've had answers to everything Epsilon's tried to throw at them. Adapting not really got involved just yet.
Yeah, Adapting really hasn't really made himself known whatsoever. We saw glimpses of Hun Bats, and he's level 6 now, which pre-level 5, quiet Hun Bats doesn't surprise me, right? But post-level 5, that's really when you want to make things happen. But again, Hun Bats, more of a team fight-oriented jungler than a individual gank monster.
Biggest thing I can see for Epsilon that they have in their favor though is Gold Fury control. They've got a lot of ways to burst the Gold Fury down and find the objective steal. You look at Paradigm here, they've got a Zhang Kui. Well, his focus isn't that good. He's got Exorcism, I guess, to try and burst it. You've got Neef with a Weave maybe on the ground if you're lucky, but across the way you've got Supernova. You've also got the Yamin ultimate that can be used for burst. And then on top of that, well, Adapting can fear no evil everybody away from it and secure it with just basics if it needs to. Epsilon's Gold Fury control is a little bit stronger here. They could rely on Bacchus' rotations, but he'll need to get a teleport if that's the case.
I mean, you say that, but there's a Bacchus with a belly flop. Bacchus has one of the best objective steals in the game. Now, we heard Barracuda talk about everything Bacchus lacks in the duo lane, but if you put a damage-oriented Bacchus, although he's building defensively at the moment, if you put a damage-oriented Bacchus in the solo lane, a belly flop to knock everybody up on the enemy team, and then an Intoxicate to drop the bomb, that's a pretty good steal potential for Paradigm.
But look at the pressure that's been put on him in this lane. You can see that Dimmy definitely wins this lane for the time being, and the way the early game's gone, that Paradigm got 2 kills over in the duo lane has really helped us to have the composition, because Paradigm's going to be all about holding on until Bacchus comes online in the solo lane. The pressure that's been put on there has really helped out to allow Paradigm to weather the storm of the early game, where Epsilon are definitely stronger.
Yeah, what I want to see late game is Celia. He's going to try and jump on Emilito, and he can burst Emilito down in 3 seconds with a World Weaver, or with a
Cabrakan stun as well.
With a Cabrakan stun. So what they're going to try and do is they're going to try and get the super fast pick, and then they're going to be so tilted they're just going to try and capitalize really hard over it and keep fighting into it.
Exactly.
I think
that's the big key here. Is Xaylia needs to go on the damage dealer here, and it's take out the Soul, is take out Yamin on this Medusa. If he can all in one of those two, even with the ethereal form of Disapparate available for Emilito, if you're knocked up and then you get hit by an Intoxicate, you've still got 3 seconds of pressing 3 to have to wait for the ethereal form to kick in. So there's plenty of time.
It's that instantaneous. So definitely something for these teams to pay attention to. 7 minutes in, a little slow at the beginning of this one. Paradigm starting this one just as they did with game number 1. 2 kills up to Epsilon's 1, and Paradigm sitting a game up as well. So everything is looking strong for the guys with the yellow and black.
And the longer this goes, though, the better it is for Epsilon, in my opinion, as well, just because they can continue to get a bit of a gold lead here, and they can see the gold per minute on the screen right now. We did see that, Trix went for the bluestone here, but if Trix doesn't really find picks on this god or finds assists, he's going to slowly fall behind in gold against the Geb, and then his items aren't going to be online, so it means the auras that could be potential for Epsilon here will be a little bit stronger to allow them to survive the fights against Paradigm.
So the early breastplate comes out of the solo Bacchus, and I'm focused on it a lot because it's just such an interesting pick, and I want to see how it develops and how it develops rather, and how it works out. The breastplate comes out first, and as we said, this is probably going to be a damage-oriented pick, but the breastplate comes out mainly because of physical, solo, and jungle.
But this is the beatdown that'll happen every time he tries to clear the wave for the time being. He's still not got the clear. You saw him flop and burp, and he still didn't clear the whole wave out in full. Had to rely on the minions to do that.
Right.
Mana is an issue, but as soon as you use your flop, Dimmy knows he can just all in him. He can just keep beating him down, and Zaylee's just going to accept that. That's why he's got breastplate of Valor too, so he can stay in that wave a little bit longer. But every 2 waves, he's pretty much going home. Unless he has some sort of support for the time being. Paradigm give up a lot with this pick, but they've got to make it work late game for it to work out.
Exactly. That's what you're looking for with the Bacchus pick. I think you're looking more towards the late game. I mean, Emilzy, when you're playing the Bacchus support, it's obviously a little bit different than a Bacchus solo, if you will. But sort of where is Bacchus's most strong point when it comes to the game?
Bacchus is really good at creating confusion and setup, and what he does really well, I think in solo, he's gonna be in one guy. It's gonna be like a Xing Chang. He can zone one guy out of the fight just with the pure, I can kill you.
Yeah.
Like I can, if I belly flop you and I hit my ult with just any point of damage, like a Funball AA, a Lobster card, I'm gonna kill you.
His base damage stats on Bacchus is strong, but he's going to need some magical power here, so that's going to take a while to come online. And one thing to note, the shell is already online in full for Rafa here. That's very important, because when you look at this team, every single god, other than the Zhong Kui, really is the CC bots for the team. If they can get Lobster in a big team fight and set him up to just go off and run through the team, he'll deal a lot of damage. So that shell, Rafa already realizes where the big damage potential of the overall team fight will come from. This burst from Bacchus, yes. But then after that, it's Lobster coming in.
Right, and that's sort of, we saw that happen. We saw that happen with the North American games where immediately just Zhong Kui was such a problem for the guys on Eager and Cloud9, and immediately the response was very quickly, oh, if we buy a shell, we can mitigate a lot of this damage. So that's what we saw right away, and Epsilon, taking a page out of those guys' books, make sure to buy the shell in response to the Zhong Kui.
You can see the left harpies have spawned, and we may see a bit of a contest here between the two, but a war fight between the supports as well there. And Rafa gonna double tap, but a good shield there. But look at Adapts in the jungle, putting some pressure onto Lobster here. Both teams starting to siege up potentially for the goal view. Here we go.
Blink in from Rafa is going to get two, and there's Medusa ult as well. Funball in a lot of trouble, already forced out of the fight. Down comes Thor though, and Lobster is the first one to pick up a kill, and Molino responds immediately. Rally here says Dimmy, this one's going the way of Epsilon, but they're pushing a little deep on the mid lane. 4 members still alive for Epsilon, and they're going to shade over to the left and most likely make their way onto gold.
3-3 there, but Epsilon come out big. Bacchus stayed in the solo lane to farm and continue what he needs to do. I understand why Zaylee didn't make the rotation here, but Paradigm took a fight and they shouldn't have taken the fight. They didn't, but by take a fight, they got engaged on and didn't disengage well enough is a big key there. They shouldn't have tried fighting that one. They knew Bacchus wasn't coming. They're all about the late game.
I actually give this one more to Epsilon. Paradigm did everything they could. You saw a backflip out of Funball. They tried to eject, but Dimmy jumped on their tower, and Epsilon really forced the fight. So.
But grouping on that corner is the big key.
Yeah, a big point actually is that Paradigm had more damage still in that fight. They did 1k more damage. Sean got in, got his damage off. But when you see that Dimmy, he's just able to out-rotate the Bacchus, and yeah, there's
4v5.
much you can do.
4v5, that's what's going to happen most of the time. I think Bacchus staying in the lane was the wisest decision there. The Bacchus staying in the lane was very wise so he can get himself ahead, get to the late game. There was a lot of damage off, but if you think about the shell being involved in that too, that's one of the reasons Epsilon survived as hard as they did in that engagement. The shell was right. And it was also the grouping around those left-hand harpies. 3 members of Paradigm all got caught in the same cataclysm. Can't really happen. If it does, you're going to have bad days.
Exactly. And I mean, like I said, Funball tried to eject as best as possible. The team tried to get out of there, but Epsilon just said no. So they wind up on the top side of that fight, leading the game by a little bit. That's going to put Epsilon up by about 1,500 gold, give or take.
And we see a blink actually online for Zalia in the solo lane as Bacchus too. I've heard that not necessarily we'll see him go for teleport is the big key here. He may just go for blink or blink beads or blink ages or something, because he can blink in and he can save his flop. Blink intoxicate is a very, very strong move to make, and then you've still got the flop to follow it when they use their disengages or their beads.
I think the beads are very important on a Bacchus as well. Almost all the time when we see Bacchus played in the support role, usually by Badger, honestly. Beads are almost always purchased because if you take a look at some of the other supports, there's ways to respond to CC if absolutely necessary, usually by way of ult. And sure, you're going to lose a Wrath of Terror or a Cataclysm here or there, but it's usually better than being CC'd to death. Bacchus doesn't have that option. There's no CC immunity on the Intoxicator or anything else, so Beads usually go hand in hand with
There's
Bacchus.
no blink available for the Monkey, but the flip is now down. Adapting may look to dive this one. No. He really wanted to save the somersault there. That's why you threw the Monkey. If he connected with that Monkey, I think they would have gone all in then.
Agreed.
But Monkey missing means that he backs out and plays it safe.
A really big point right now is...
1 second, big Cataclysm coming out there from Trix Tank, sorry, from Rafa, but where's the extra aggression coming from?
Doors
Trix
up.
is out, everybody's out.
Trix probably going to play defensively.
Teleport.
Funball being pinged out, but Trix actually lands right in the middle of everything. Epsilon in some trouble. Funball taking a lot of the brunt of the damage. Here comes Cubo out of nowhere. Yaman takes him down for kill number 4. Dimmy lands kill number 5 and 6 with a double kill, but Zelia's finally made himself known. Adapting obliterated by the intoxication, and Paradigm still have 3 dead.
Still chasing after Funballer though. He's in a world of danger. Spirit Arrow is currently down for him. Emelito may consider diving this if he can find the 2. No, does not connect with it, unfortunately. Crazy engagement backwards and forwards, but Epsilon, they come out on top again.
Gold's already dead. Emilzy, where do you go?
You push down the left tower. You have Assault. You can also just go mid, force Celia to go there. But big point right now is you want to try and get the left tower. You have the Soul. You want to do something about it.
And every time we've seen a Sol with a Hunter as well, it's been so strong
Yeah.
for the double tower pushes that are going to be available for this team.
I'm kind of sad they didn't group up and either get the mid tower, the left tower. That probably would have been the better call. But it's fine. Big point was that Paradigm, they actually counter-engaged when Celia was sitting in base. I disagree with that. They need to wait for Celia, because when you saw, as soon as Celia was there, the fight could have returned. But they were already dead.
Exactly. Zelia, like I said, Zelia finally made himself known. He comes in with the Intoxicate, and don't forget how potent a belly flop can be in the middle of a team fight. But unfortunately, like you said, there was already 3 people dead. Zelia does his damage, and Funball was chased off on the left side of the map, so essentially 4 people out of the fight. Zelia shows up. If Zelia was there from the beginning, I think we see that fight go a different way. But reality is as reality does, and Epsilon come up on top of that one and are still on top of our game, up 2 kills, and this time the lead is extended by about 2,500 gold. So 1,000 at a time is where Epsilon's going.
Slowly but surely they're getting a lead, but take into account that when the team fights actually happen, Epsilon have to play them very, very well, because when Bacchus is in the mix, we saw what could happen, and Milsey pointed that one out. Sol, however, this game, Emelito, he's gone for a different build here. It's one that we've not really seen this weekend. Bancroft's boots and then Demonic Grip looks like what's coming out next for him as well. How do you feel about this build, Milsey?
It's alright, he's going for the more AA in hand oriented build, where he just wants to out-trade, outbox.
Well, he's not out-trading right now.
No, he's not.
But luckily Adapting's on his way as well, and that's why you can immediately see Funballer back all the way up from that one. I think Emelito could have potentially lost that trade, but the sustain from Bancroft's off that next wave puts him in a safe spot.
I was going to say, I actually like the choice of Bancroft's. Emelito go in the basic attack build, and interestingly, I have not liked this idea a lot. But I like it in this situation because you're going against a Neath who's about to die to a basic attack from Emelito. Now, yeah, I don't think the build was part of that, but Emelito dies to the 1-2 punch of Hunbats, or Emelito kills off the 1-2 punch of the Hunbats and the Soul right on top of Funball.
They're really trying to turn this and put the pressure onto Emelito, but he's going to be able to get the Supernova off first of all. Really good work from Rafa with the shields and the Cataclysm. Lobster gets off the Ghost, but can he find a kill? The shell has been popped, so the damage isn't as high as you want it to be, but still Emelito will fall, but it's a 1-for-1, and Dimmy's turned up round the back.
Dimmy shows up all of a sudden. Trix Tank is good as dead as Yaman secures the first hit onto him to bring down Trix Tank. Now 3 members of Epsilon will look over. The Gold Fury is up this time.
3-for-1 again. Paradigm having these engagements. They were the first ones on scene there as well. Zalia turned up ahead of time. The shell from Rafa, the shield from Rafa, the Cataclysm from Rafa was what, for me, changed that fight, MLZ.
Yeah, I also think a big part of it is Paradigm 1. They're going in 1 by 1.
Yes.
You see Celia going in, Celia gets poked out. You see Curefed go in, Curefed dies. Then Lobster goes in. No, and you also, even before that, they used Trix Tank's ult to try and kill Adapting.
Even before that, Funballer had already died.
Yeah.
So there was going to be a 4v4 on that side, then Dimmy turns up to make it a 5v4. Number advantage every time.
Now, this is something we see more often than we probably should in Pro League games. And this is probably one of the most... It's the easiest thing to armchair Smite coach. Don't go in one-on-one. duh, right?
Yeah.
How does it happen? Because it happens so often to very good... Hold that thought. We'll answer that question after. But Zelia, that's how quickly that Bacchus is going to be able to eliminate players.
I don't think Rafa really expected to get all in there because he's just like, I'm just going to lazy back here. I'm not really worried about ow. Ow. It's kind of how it went down. And Dimmy went, sorry, bro, I've got nothing else for you. You're just going to fall.
So coming back to that question, because like I said, we see it from top-tier teams. How and why does that happen?
I don't know. It's like
Yeah.
sometimes you just feel like you have the upper hand. Okay, I'm gonna make a play now. My team's behind. I need to make a play to get my team ahead. And yeah, that's how some people's mindset just
It's
kind
just
of
that feeling of trying to be the hero.
Yeah, exactly. The hero ball, as we kind of talked about like long ago.
Yeah, it's so interesting to see that because, like I said, I mean, Paradigm is a top-tier team. They're playing like it, and we just saw one of the more easy to point out mistakes, really. And I mean, you've been on the stage and you've been up here. It's very easy to look at that and say, "Oh, wow, why would you do that?" But when you're on the stage and doing it yourself, it's a very different world.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting to see that the dichotomy of how inside the game rather than from above, how that works out.
Well, the two hunters to make an area in mid lane. Amelito are going to start pressuring down this tower. Put some poke out. He's not worried about taking a little bit of poke. He's happy to do it.
That's
and
all.
maybe he's still going in a little bit more there with the disapparate just to try and throw out a few more basics. But Epsilon in a good spot so far. They still have the lead, even though Rafa did just fall. They're looking to try and pressure and catch people. On the right-hand side, Bacchus is in trouble. Teleport.
Zelia's going to teleport out, which leaves only one on the right side tower. It's Cubo Fred, and we saw how small of a window that Funball needs to really come and get in onto this tower. So we'll take a look. Epsilon sieging the right-hand side. Paradigm has to play some good defense. Let's see where their mind is as we listen to their comms.
I can blink ultimate as well.
Oh, we need a...
I can blink ult here.
I'm ready when you guys are.
What's the next time to see?
Help here?
Cap.
The shield now, I'm going out. Nice. Behind, get the...
Help him, Bologna!
Slowing
Look at fucking Bologna!
I'm dead. Nice, come on, really, please. Ah, too bad, man. Too bad. Super lucky. We're going super lucky, it's whatever.
So right there, you saw how Paradigm's, their entire plan was to be the counter initiators. They go ahead, they blink it off of Zelia. Everything was going well until Hun Bats. Let's take a second look at how that one went.
Well, we'll see the replay come up on your screen here, and we should see exactly how this one all broke down. We're looking at it through Yamin's eyes here. He gets out after the initial engage here, and the dunk hit from Trixank doesn't really connect. He tries to wall off, and it was a good ultimate coming out from Yamin too. But adapting is what really followed that one up as well. With
right
the
now,
Fear No Evil right about now.
Yeah, see,
he hung to the very end.
That fight was all Paradigm until the Fear No Evil came. And I mentioned it 72 times during Picks and Bans. Watch out for the disruption that Hunbats can bring. That entire fight, I don't want to give Adapting all the credit, but that fight was won by Hunbats.
Trixtank actually zoned them off well, but I don't think he called that the reinitiation would come from that angle either. So his team dived forward, Trix had already used his wall, and then Adapting turns up like, well, I got walled off, guys, but I'm here now.
Yep.
And we win the fight. They survive with the base amount of HP, and now they get the Fire Giant off it too, and Cubo could get caught for it as well, trying to save it.
Epsilon keep continuing the push, adapting with a kill as Cubo tries to show his face. Ladies and gentlemen, we're 21 and a half into game number 2. Epsilon is doubling the kills of Paradigm, and they've doubled down on the lead as well. 10,000 gold. That's a 5-digit lead, Hindu. Paradigm won last game, and I don't think Epsilon was too happy about it.
Clearly, but I mean, to be fair, Paradigm had a game plan. It's still not over for them just yet. They've got a chance if they can hold their Phoenixes to still defend. The burst is available to them, but we saw what Paradigm's game plan was there, MLZ. Going with the backers first of all, have the rest of the team siege and try and get the shell before Lobster follows up with it, but the Fear No Evil was just too big.
Yeah, just a really good ultimate out of Adapting, and I feel like they committed too much onto iRafa.
Yeah.
That's a support with Shell. It's a Jeb that can shield himself. They committed all, not necessarily their ults, they did use some ults on him.
Yeah.
But they just used too many abilities, and when Adapting went in, they had nothing to respond with.
And generally, when Epsilon get a lead, well, I say generally, every time Epsilon get a lead, they don't lose it.
Well,
although last game was a little story, I guess, after the First goal for you.
Here's what I find curious about the Paradigm draft, because in all actuality, I actually really like the draft more than I dislike it. But it's worth noting that when it comes to initiation, there is no Cataclysm or Wrath of Terror. What you're looking at is the Thor ultimate. And without that, the blink in from Zelia, the Intoxicate. Intoxicate is an interesting crowd control. It's about the damage, though. I've spoken to pros before, and I mean, straight from Zapman's mouth, you can counteract it. You don't have to really. It bothers you a little bit, but it doesn't stun you. It doesn't stop you
mentioned
from.
the Thor.
So it's a curious initiation.
I really feel Trick should have been on the front line there to begin with and hold Bacchus back a little bit. They had Cabrakan still as well. They don't have to engage with the Bacchus. I'm guessing though that they want to use Trick's tank's Thor as the peel only. They don't want to use it for engages. They want to rely on Cabrakan and Bacchus to be the initiation.
Right.
And Trix is on peel in the back line. But what sort of peel really has he got? He's got a wall. And then after that, he has to take to the sky to reinitiate with another CC to peel for his team.
It's up to Cuvo to play sort of... Cuvo's job is to play the jungle Thor. Does that make sense? Usually in the late game, Thor becomes the sort of peeler. But with Paradigm's composition, Trixang has to ult in and be a support, and then it's Cuvo's job
really
to play
feel-
secondary peel.
I think that's what needs to happen is that Trix needs to be the one initiating, followed up by Bacchus. Cuvo sits on the backside protecting his team, and when they think he's got nothing left, that's when he pulls out all his wombo combo and damage if he's not needed for peeling.
Right now, Paradigm, they're just not... Like I said, I like this lineup. It's not that I dislike the draft. I just feel like Paradigm isn't executing the way they need to in order to win these fights. And because of that, Epsilon are just picking up free Phoenixes. The left one falls.
Well, at the moment, we're in a very good spot for Epsilon. And now, with obviously the Sol has been a contentious pick between all teams, but I really feel she fits in best when she's combined with a Hunter, and it's really showing. In every game that I think I've seen with a Hunter, she's won.
Even if you get creative and put the Hunter in the mid lane. But there's
Trix
the
is up.
blink in from Paradigm. They start the fight one more time off the back of Zelia. He's got the Soul Reaver this time around, so a little bit more
Also
damage. But
deleted.
it doesn't matter as Yaman takes out Lobster. Dimmy takes out Cubo. Adapting takes out 2 members. And with Funball the only one on the board,
Okay.
Epsilon's going right on into the base. And this one's game. We'll see a tie series as we head into game number 3.
What happened at the end of that game, Emilzy? What went wrong?
The lead is just too big. They got a really, really good fight, I feel like, Paradigm. They had the fight they wanted. They got the Bacchus ult and more people had a big fold. They had a big Shong. They were just too far behind. The whole game plan from Paradigm, they countered it themselves with the itemization as well. They kind of want to wait for Sheila to get online with that Soul Reaver. And some of them built, they even built Height of Urchin, they even built Warlock Sash instead of Ethereal Staff. So they really just want to wait for that 20-minute mark where they can fight. Instead, every time they chose to counter-initiate, and Dimi was just always there before Celia. So it's kind of the opposite story this time around.
I think the big thing for me there was take away the Zhonghui.
Yeah.
If you didn't have the Zhonghui on that lineup and you put someone like Giannis, Nuwa, anyone that can get damage off a little bit safer than having to be on the front line, Zhonghui's not had a good tournament.
It's very true. Zhonghui, well, it's interesting because a lot of the discussion on the analyst desk from the pros themselves have revolved around these sort of tournament metas, right? The idea